You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Projects management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Rudman Relight. The IFCO. Chiro Moguls. Chiro Health USA. Sherman College of Chiropractic. Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. This episode of Chiro Hustle is brought to you by Relight Hydration by Redmond. Here's the truth. Most Americans are walking around dehydrated, low energy, brain fog, muscle cramps, headaches, and they think they need more caffeine, when what they actually need are electrolytes. Hydration isn't just water. It's sodium, potassium, and trace minerals that help your body actually absorb and use the water. That's where Relight comes in. Made with Redmond real salt. No artificial junk, no neon dyes, no sugar overload, just clean, balanced electrolytes designed to support hydration, muscle function, and optimal daily performance. And here's the best part. Grab their sample pack with multiple flavors so you can find your favorite. Once you dial it in, it's an easy daily habit you'll stick with for life. Chiropractors understand this. The nervous system runs on electrical signals. Electrolytes help support that communication. If you're tired or feeling drained by 2 p.m., this is your upgrade. Go to chirohustle.com and get 25% off Relight with our exclusive promo. If you want a wholesale Redmond products, see the show notes for the wholesale application. Hydrate smarter, perform better, stay aligned.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 768 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
Today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Rosemary Batanjski. And if you want to listen to our conversation about business and her groundbreaking approach to chiropractic education, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have a good friend of mine, old friend of mine, Rosemary Batanjski, on with me. Episode 768. I can't believe it. If you guys want to go check out our first podcast we did together, we were just hashing things over in the green room, and she was on in 2018 in episode 103. So
we were babies.
She's better at math than me. She says 8 years ago. So it's really nice to have her back on talking about all things as far as her career and her story and her journey, which I think is going to impact a lot of people when they get a chance to hear about it. We're going to also talk about mentorship, why it's critical for the chiropractic profession, and success story of practice development, not just success story of a miracle story of a patient changing their lives, but practice changing its life. And we're going to talk about the way that she is working on her vision and what she's doing right now for the future of chiropractic, and her Chiro Freedom Formula and ChiroFlex, which I think are really cool things that we're going to get into. But before we get into all things Rosemary, I'm going to let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is freedom of speech. We believe it's very important to the world to have that open line of communication. And we know what it's like to be censored and shadow banned and traffic throttled. We never do that to you. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They are not the same things, but if you need guidance on any of those topics, reach out to a chiropractor in your city. I'm sure they'd be happy to help you with those questions and give you some guidance. Philosophically speaking, we protect BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. I know a lot of people don't know what that means. So if you're curious about BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust, it's its last written words. You can go to the show notes over there at chirohustle.com and check it out and learn more about chiropractic, and probably more than you did previously. Even if you've been practicing for 30 years, go learn about the Sacred Trust. We also support subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say these things, but they're removing this from the lexicon of the education at the colleges. So if you know a chiropractic student or a new grad that's not getting the real deal when it comes to philosophy, share the show with them. Share an episode of Chiro Hustle, share 10 of them. As I said, today's episode is 768. So there's a lot of content that you can share with that person that isn't getting the philosophy from their education. And we also believe in innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and the educated intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. It sounds woo-woo, but it's not. It's the real deal of chiropractic. And this is episode, like I said, 768. Rosemary Batanjski, welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be back. We had a lot of fun backstage.
Yeah, it's been too long.
I missed you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's likewise, like soul sister, soul brother. Like when I first got a chance to become who I was 8 years ago, when I first started moving and shaking with Chiro Hustle, there was a lot of support. It was bi-directional, like we were both supporting each other with what you were doing and, this fledgling thing called a podcast that I was doing. And people just didn't know what a podcast was back then.
No. You were my first podcast interview.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So, and here I am 768 later, and I'm happy to be here. And here's one thing I can tell all the audience. You haven't changed a bit.
Oh, come on.
No. We might have gotten older, but you've gotten wiser and more passionate about chiropractic. And I was talking backstage with you how I truly think there's some people in this world that deserve that honorary chiropractic degree, and it is you. I think you know more about chiropractic philosophy, all of it, more than some of our colleagues. You're living it.
Yeah, it's the lifestyle, and that's the ecosystem that you build around you. I think when you realize that you can create any life destiny that you want. My mom always used to tell me, you're only as good as the people that you keep. And I'm sure a lot of people out there that are old enough now to know better, they realize that the people in their life and the relationships that they have are the most valuable things that they've ever possessed. And you don't own them. You don't own them, but people and relationships are the most valuable things you'll ever have. And that's why I love where your journey and your chiropractic story goes to, is you support people. And in the core of it, people really matter. It's not just the KPIs and the the
fancy cars and
it's the people, and it's the patients, but it's also the professionals. And I know you're doing a lot to help both sides. You're helping the patient side, but you're also helping the practice side. So maybe you could just tell us the journey that you've been on since I don't know if you want to go back 8 years since Women DCs and the Women Chiropractic Group to where you are today. Maybe that would be a good journey talk.
Well, I never thought I'd be doing a podcast when I graduated at a chiropractic school. I graduated to be a chiropractor. I fell in love with the profession. I'm going to say because I do, but I think that the whole God's plan for you, where I thought I would be isn't where I am now because of chiropractic, I'm so grateful for. Get it? So the journey, we all have this, I had a birth plan for my first kid. I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to vaccinate. That birth plan went out the door, right? Because he had a different plan for me. And so did he, the son coming out, right? So I think that one of the things I like to say is, although some of us plan and we have these big visions, we have we were just talking about it, this big vision, this North Star, life gets in the way. Mine was that I was diagnosed, 2008 with a life-threatening condition that took my father's life when I was a child. To find out I also gave that gene to my kids. And I had open heart surgery when I was 35. I'm 50 now. And I didn't think, my cardiologist said to me by post-op, have you ever thought of doing something different? I said, no, have you? I only knew eat, breathe, sleep, chiropractic. Like I was seeing 60 patients a day. I would, that was my life. That was my first baby. Like I graduated, had a practice for, I don't even know the math right now, how many years before I had. So my practice was my first baby that I literally poured into, right? And here a doctor's telling me, have you thought of something different? And that's all I knew, Jim. I worked with my hands. I healed people. And I struggled with that for a long time. So I went back into practice, and I have some really stupid stories of what I did to myself. But a sternal wire popped out of my chest because I went back to adjusting 3 months in when he told me a year. I went into the little kitchen, snipped it, went back to work, then drove myself to an emergency room because patients needed me. That was dumb when you really think about it. But 15 years later, I realized life lessons, right? And so I started struggling with this connective tissue disorder and healing. And then it wasn't until someone in passing said to me, an older doc said, you have to stop and smell the roses. You're not going to be around for your children if you keep it at the pace that you're going to be at. And I was physically hurt. I was going through some tough, I was doing everything to be well, but unfortunately my life was not allowing me to do it. So I did semi-retire and then fully retire from clinical practice, but I still own the practice that I've had for 24 years, now solely as that CEO role, right? But I struggled. My identity was gone, right? And so I was like depressed, and I, not clinically, but I was like, I didn't know who I was. And then I started going into that chiropractic, my office manager, who's still my office manager 20 years later, said, Rose, we need your juju back. We need your energy back. Even though you're not adjusting, we just need you back. And so I went back in. So I distanced myself for a while. That was back in 2010. And I started pouring into the practice from top down, like as an owner. And I saw a lot of the problems that I wasn't seeing when I was in the trenches. So I started fixing those. And then and that first year I had a 37% increase in revenue. Because we're not taught, you hear a lot of the younger, everybody, even my generation, well, we weren't taught business. No, you have to teach yourself business. If you're going to choose to own a business, you have to teach yourself business. We were taught to be chiropractors. So all my extended learning was learn more about chiropractic, go to every chiropractic seminar, go to become the best chiropractor possible. But my side hustle was business. And I was just telling a new client this the other day. I've never had a chiropractic coach in my life. You've known me for so long now. I march at the beat of my own drum. I didn't want someone to tell me how to be a chiropractor. I needed business mentors. So I started circling my neighbor was a dentist. What are you doing? I would go to their seminars and learn, because they were teaching business, right? Back in the 90s and to early 2000s. And then I would go to PT seminar, I would learn business concepts on my own. And I started implementing stuff, not practice management stuff, the cookie cutter stuff that was around in the 90s and 2000s. I was doing it the Rose way. But as we evolved, I found that, wow, this works. Right? And so then my friends started to be like, dude, you're only 40 and you're retired. Show me how you're doing it. Right? So I was getting a lot of, I want what you have. And I joked today, I spoke about this on stage a couple of months ago. I'm like, no, you don't want what I have. I have a life-threatening condition that forced me, I would still be adjusting to this day if this didn't happen to me because I loved it. But what I'm saying is like, when they say, I'm like, you don't really know the true story of what I have, right? And what I face. But I get what they want. They want freedom. They want that. We went to school to become chiropractors to heal, but they want that freedom that I've created for myself. And I started pulling that all together where, and you know, I'm not big on social media. I've never, look at me, I hate that, right? So from behind the scenes through relationships that we talked about backstage, is people started saying, oh, you need to talk to Rose. She's doing this. But it was mentorship. I didn't see myself. I had a hard time calling myself a coach. I was teaching everything I learned, pouring in. And then I met Cindy at a conference, and I was on the side, and I was I don't weep when I say, like, I wasn't crying, but I called my husband. It was my first time away from the family after my heart, all the stuff. Like, I was missing the kids, missing my husband. And I said, there's nothing for me here. Because I was no longer in practice. Get it? I'm now a CEO. Like, I'm working as just a leader. So I was doing John Maxwell's training. I was doing all these leadership everything in HR that I could think of. But from a chiropractic standpoint, there was no one on stage to empower me to be a better boss, a better leader. Get it? It was all like, do it, the cookie cut, like, do it this way. Cindy overheard me. We connected. We started talking, and she told me about a Facebook page she had, Women Chiropractors. And she talked to me about, like, there was a few hundred people at the time. And I'm like, and then that weekend I invited all my female chiropractic friends. And then we started, it just snowballed because I'm a connector. And I loved her vision. I knew what she wanted to accomplish. I was like, okay, I found a new purpose. I wasn't like adjusting, but I found a purpose that I can mentor and like help inspire other women to have the life that I created. And you know, the whole Tony Robbins peel back the onion layers kind of thing. I didn't know my why for a long time until I wrote my book this past year. Is my mom was a widow at 40. She relied on it. Like, my dad owned the business. My dad was the provider. We're a European family. That's all. She took care of the family. She did work in the business. She was very smart. But at 40, she was a widow to 3 young daughters and didn't have didn't know what was going to happen. Right. And so I realized my why to help other women in chiropractic is give them the stability, the sustainability, like, that chiropractic can provide you, because I had it and I knew it was real, and it wasn't easy. You had to do the work. And that's what I'm struggling with now is, like, you still have to do the work, the hard work behind the scenes to get to where you want. And so the journey on women, we blew up, 10,000 women in the group, sponsorships. The one thing we were most proud of is the reentry program. We were mentored over, I don't even remember, 600 women chiropractors back into practice because they were about to leave. And so that kind of is what I'm most proud of, is that mentorship, is because I felt that not only my generation and women in chiropractic, but also is back in the days of DJ Pop, where they would all go in their basement, tables everywhere, highballs, cigar, and they would share their wisdom, was missing. And every generation, everybody's keeping their secrets, trade secrets, so close to themselves, and you have to pay for it to get what they have. Right? Well, I'll teach you what I have, but you got to pay me. And yes, I am a practice consultant. You're going to pay me for my time, of course. But I also contribute, like, my tithing is giving back and teaching more, meant pouring into the profession, because I believe in giving back, because it's been the most fruitful. It's the reason that I have what I have.
Listening to your story, it makes me think so much about identity. And once you become a chiropractor that you have to do the same thing over and over and over and deliver your last adjustment until you fall over on the table dying. And the story is real because colleagues and, your classmates, the people you went to school with, they want to live in this fantasy world that you're only supposed to do one thing for the rest of your life. And if you do anything outside of that, your identity is not true anymore and you've lost your way. You're not following your North Star.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I've interviewed over 1,400 chiropractors. And identity is massive. And when somebody has to redesign a culture around themselves that they're a part of and transition that personality trait to not being the adjuster to being the consultant or being a silent leader supporting others, I can't even imagine the massive amount of personal turmoil that you had to, hurdle over and work through it to just get clarity with yourself that what you're doing is okay. And
it's not only okay, Jim. I realize that I'm still healing. I'm healing practice. I'm healing mindset, like where people are like that fixed mind coming in, like I'm going to be broke for the rest of my life. I can't do this. The blame, my associate sucks, got divorced, this, that. I still get to bring chiropractic and heal communication. Like a lot of the problem is like my favorite quote that I came up with literally on the fly, training on stage one day, was poor communication is the subluxation of practice growth. And I realized through my work in linguistics and the studies that I've done over the years is that I am still making impact, not with my hands, but with my mind. And I've still kept the core philosophy at heart. Chiropractic can be the true success story.
Well, and I feel that from you, and I'm sure anybody that listens to this will feel that. You say you like mentorship. Let's give like one golden nugget to chiropractic students out there that they're thinking, they're listening, and they're like, damn, I'm not going to go and do John Maxwell training. I'm not going to go to orthodontist.
I can't afford it.
I'm not going to go to orthodontist gatherings or dental gatherings and learn dental business. What's some sage wisdom that you would give to a young DC?
Start early, like start now while you're in school. And every time you go home, find yourself another car. If you're out of state, right? Or while you're in state, like, so many women in chiropractic, we're going to do pediatrics and we're going to do prenatal because that's what like kind of culture everybody else is doing. But I've had so many women come to me and say, I hate it. I have 4 kids of my own and now I have to go listen to 40 kids. Like, do you get it? Because they didn't, that's the path that they thought they were supposed to follow. The be, do, have, right? Be who you are, do what you've got to do to have what you want. Like, don't follow just because everyone else is doing it. And so, my son's girlfriend just told me, she wants to be a medical doctor, but she's going through and like she thought she was going to be an oncologist. She spent all of her undergrad going to like in oncology. She doesn't want to be an oncologist anymore. Then she thought she was going to be an oncology researcher. She spent a little bit of time in oncology. Then she's like dermatology. She's doing while she's in undergrad. And she's like, yeah, that's not what I want to do. And now she's like, I think I want to be a surgeon. It fascinates me that every time you go in, it's different. It's not mundane. So she's very smart. She wants to use her brain. And that's what I'm telling students to do. And you will find your mentor. You're going to find your, like I call it, like I know who, I jokingly tell, Jen knows this. Jen was like my girl crush, my business partner now. She was like 10 years ahead of me. She had a beautiful practice. Everybody told me like, she's crushing it. She's doing this. And so we met a few times, but again, find the people you aspire to be like and pick their brains. It's free knowledge. And listen to the podcast. Like, I literally am a podcast junkie. And I also read almost a book a week. Not romance. I pick something that's like, if I'm listening to a podcast that speaks to me at that time, it could be mindset, it could be business growth, it could be history, like whatever that speaks to me. It could be religion, right? My newest thing is learning about other people's religions. So I appreciate my own and I love my own, but I also want to appreciate others, right? So be a sponge.
Yeah, I think, the most complete decision maker is the one with the most knowledge to make decisions. And learning, I know that the chiropractic profession always wants to give back. If chiropractors could adjust for the rest of their life and not charge $1 for it, they probably would. But that's also the thought process of, if you're looking to learn to be a great chiropractor, reach out to any chiropractor and say, hey, can I spend a day doing your chart notes for you? Can I spend a day doing your chart notes for you and taking your trash out? And I just want to come watch you run your practice. I'm sure that every chiropractor under the sun would be like, you're going to take a day of helping me run my office and I don't have to do that stuff and rely on my team. Like, yeah, come and watch me work and I'll buy you lunch.
But that's also where the places you're going to learn who you don't want to be.
Yes. Yeah.
There was a place that I used to cry every day that I left. And I don't cry. I told you, I don't cry over it, but I was like, oh my God, this is torture. How are people paying? Like, how do people stay? And I realized that's who I never wanted to be. But it's because I placed myself in so many other places who I realize who I want to be, who I aspire to be like.
So you're helping people. It's kind of the core of our conversation. Tell us a story about how you've helped at least one practice, go from just surviving to exceptional.
I don't even want to. Let's shift gears. I could tell you 100 of those because that's what I do. That's what I'm most proud of, because I get to inspire people for change, but I allow them to be their authentic self, right? So that's the primary journey in my consulting, is they get to stay true to who they want to be, and I cultivate a strategy that will grow them. But this is where I want to talk about an amazing chiro, Dr. Day. Her name is Dr. Day in Bonham, Texas, has built a $500,000 practice in less than 5 years in the smallest town on chiropractic alone. That's my miracle story, that it's possible. Here she's living the dream. Now, she still needs me for guidance, for business acumen, because she's busy, a young mom, just had another baby. Get it? That wisdom and guidance. And so I'm more involved in managing her team for her so that she can find that balance that she's looking for, but also to empower her. But she's not doing picking the shiny objects to add to. It's chiropractic and part-time. She's impacted over 10,000 lives walking through her door in 1 year, part-time. That's a miracle story, because I have colleagues that are 30 years into practice crying to me that they can't retire. That's what I wanted to celebrate.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Practice management simplified. The Chiro speaking company. Attract, educate, and convert.
Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Redmond Relight, the IFCO, Chiro Moguls, Chiro Health USA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Hey docs, let me ask you something. Are you adjusting patients but not adjusting your revenue? Because a lot of chiropractors are still undercharging without even realizing it. They're accepting insurance allowances that are just too low. And they're hesitant to raise the fees because they're worried about pushback from patients. The problem is, when your fees and financial systems aren't aligned, it creates a slow leak in your practice. And when you try to grow, more marketing, more patients, maybe even another location, the leak gets bigger. There's actually a smarter way to handle this. Chiro Health USA helps chiropractors charge appropriately when insurance is available while still serving cash or limited benefit patients through a compliant discount medical plan. The results? Many practices see revenue increases around 15 to 20% without adding more visits. Same patients, better margins, more freedom. If you want to stop leaving money on the table and build a practice that's both profitable and compliant, check out chirohealthusa.com to learn more.
Well, I think, as I listen more and more about your accomplishments and the people that you're helping have similar lifestyle, I think, something I tell people all the time, you can't put your hand into a jar of honey without getting some of it on you. Like, you're always going to come out with a little bit of it on you. And
it's sticky.
Yeah. And I think that's about working with people that have resources and knowledge that when you work with them, some of those attributes and those talents and that trait and that belief and that leadership is going to stick onto you. And I think that that's really the essence of mentorship. It's like honey. If you're around the right people, if you're around the right people, those good attributes will become yours. Mm-hmm. But if you hang around, people that are complaining and scuffling and negative, you're going to pick up those attributes. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a really good thing, is to find out where you're supposed to be and find the resources that are out there. I think that's the hardest thing, is finding people that mesh with you and finding
I'll piggyback on that.
Yeah, do that.
I call it creating my sticky community. I actually use those words all the time. So I know, Jim, tomorrow, if I'm throwing a conference, I could call Jim. I'm like, hey, you want to help me? When, where? You're a lot busier than you were 8 years ago. Let me tell you that. But who's your sticky community? That I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, but there's nothing in it. Like, I'm not asking for a transaction. It's genuine that we want to help each other succeed. Mm-hmm. So I've created this network of sticky community where, like, if you tell me I need your help building this new project, I'm like, I'm in. Tell me a little bit more. I will honestly share it for everybody that wants to listen to me if it fits their purpose, right? And that's the connector that, if you've read The Tipping Point, I have a guy for it. I joke around, I have a guy for that. Or now I have a GPT tool for it. I joke around, right? But it's the honey. I know who in our life, like, I don't like burning bridges at all. And those that stuck with me, they know that it's that golden retriever part of me. Like, I am the lion driver businesswoman, but I'm the longtime loyalist. I equally come up as the longtime loyalist, right? And so I think what you've hit on is, in mentorship, I still reach out to the guy who retired probably 25 years ago just for his wisdom, and more for his, I hate to say it, he's not even on social media, so he wouldn't even know that I'm putting a shout out to him. But I lost my dad as a kid, who was my first business teacher. Right? So Dr. J is my, hey, can I talk to you for a sec? But it's almost like I'm talking, like I need some manly advice. Like, do you get it? Or I wouldn't say dad advice because no one's going to replace my father. But sometimes he will put me in my place that I was wrong about it, that I'm thinking wrong. And sometimes it's nice to have a little testosterone. I grew up in an all-female house, so I think like a girl. I led a women's organization. So it's nice to hear it just besides from my husband who says it like it is. But it's nice to hear from a mentor that like when he sold it, he didn't even sell his practice. He closed and he sent everybody my way.
Well, they call these people surrogates. And a lot of people know that my dad left when I was 5 too. And
I remember you told me.
I think that that's one of the greatest takeaways. We come into this like mind of abandonment. We come into this mind of lost. But really, I had a coach, Dr. Ryan. I was presenting down in Mexico City, 2018. And he told me I had to thank my dad on stage because I usually thank my mother and I thank God. And I usually say, I don't care if you guys remember anything else I say the rest of this presentation, as long as you know that I love my mother and I love God. And this time he's like, you got to go up there from now on and thank your dad too. And I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to thank that dude. And he's like, but just think about it, Jim. He's like, the reason you are who you are today is because you had to raise yourself on the streets and you had to become, adaptable to all environments that were thrown at you. And you didn't have somebody to support you like most people have a dad. Mm-hmm. He's like, so thank him for actually like letting you learn how to make your own way. Mm-hmm. And it just like kind of clicked into me the same way it kind of clicked into you that, we have to find somebody as a surrogate. And, over the past several years, I've had a coach and then I've coached him, Dr. Larry Goodman. And, when he went through heart surgery, he lost his zest for life, if you will, and kind of was lost. And I said, Larry, you got to understand, man, you have a new heart. It's a new you. Like you have to like refine who your personality is and your identity is again at 60 something. He just turned like 70 or 71 now. But I was like, you coached me for a few years and now I'm your coach. And I said, and now I feel like he's kind of my surrogate dad. So I have that person that I can go on a walk with and call and say, hey, this is what's going on. Just listen to me. And I think that, yeah, well, I mean, I don't get too cliffy, but I more just want to have like that cathartic, share what's going on in my life and have somebody listen. And
so it's funny because I have this with my clients, Jim. They'll be like, they know me as in business, like as their coach, but then it's Mama Rose, sister, like where I get texts that say, I need a hug. All that is code for when can you talk to me so that I don't go this way, right? And it has nothing to do with business. It has nothing. It's that be there for someone because in their darkest hours, right? And Brene Brown, Dare to Lead, if you've ever read the book, says vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. And so you see too many people be like so much pride, and so men especially, no offense, it's harder to be vulnerable, where women have a better ability to be vulnerable and share amongst each other what's going wrong, where there's a pride, right? But I find that like more powerful when you can share the vulnerabilities and the weaknesses, because then you're real.
My takeaway on that is I realize that I can get the same amount accomplished at being at a level 2 as I can being at a level 10. And how you're saying being vulnerable and how you like how much you share, how like intense you can be, or how that is for me, vice versa. I realized that I'm better at 2 than 10.
I don't know
And
what that is there's passion at 2 still.
yeah, but I don't have to like tell
Turn it
people,
on.
yeah, I don't have to like
I
be
agree.
like, I don't have to be like peaked out. Like I don't have to like be off of level. I can still, seek the conversation that I desire, and I don't have to like load somebody up with everything. I can just keep it controlled. And that comes with
Even
age and
Steven,
maturity.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So at this juncture, I got to ask you, like, what are you working on now? What's next?
What am
How
I
are
not
things?
working on?
Well, I know you
I
got the Chiro Freedom Formula and ChiroFlix, but you were talking a lot about like AI integrations and things when we were just chatting. But what's going on in your ecosystem right now?
Freedom and teaching people how to. So the Chiro Freedom Formula, Dr. Jen and I, it's funny because we have practices 30 minutes away from each other, but we've both been out of practice for 10, 15, whatever years that we have been running our like 7-figure practices, but solely from an operational standpoint, right? And what was interesting is she de-risked. You talked to her a couple months ago. Her consulting was de-risking practices so that you can sell it, because too many practices, I don't even forget the rate, like let's just say 17 or 20% of practices don't sell. I think it's even more, because I have people telling me, you know what, I'm just going to walk away. And I'm like, how can you walk away when you've poured your life into this? Get something for it. But they don't know how to, right? And a lot of that, her de-risking is, do you have the systems in place? Do you have the finances in place? Do you have the equity in place? Have you vested in an employee that will stay, or buy in? So she had so much talent from a financial world that doesn't exist in chiropractic. Like she's doing like what kind of like private equity that, like, she knows the business aspects of sale, of transferable value. So I contacted her when I was considering selling a couple of years ago. And we started talking, and she started telling me a couple things I had to do. And then I was helping her with her practice and a couple where I'm the systems, culture, leadership stuff. And then it started naturally evolving where she's like, hey, can you talk to one of my clients for me? Yep, no problem. I wouldn't charge her. We were just kind of co-treating. And literally a month before Croatia, so 7 months ago, we're like, we kept on talking about this formula, this freedom formula that we've created and cultivated on our own, and we're actually doing it, but we're all both doing it with our individual clients, but from different perspectives. So we decided to merge. So one, it's bandwidth. I can only, because I still want freedom and I don't want to work a lot. I still love the one-on-ones because I like to mentor and teach. So those are sacred to me. But then it was like, okay, one to many or my husband would kill me because, we're getting into almost empty nester where he wants more of me because now we don't need to change diapers and we're not going to basketball games and we're not. So I can't work full time in coaching, nor do I want to, because I finally found that peace. Like you said, like me, like time for me and time to do what I want and travel. And so we were like, okay, if we bring our magic together and create one Chiro Freedom School and teach everything that we've ever learned and give it to more people. So that's what Chiro Freedom Formula is. We've actually created an entire year's worth of strategy for people to find, but they come in different, like maybe they need team more, maybe they need financial. So remember that you're my age, so I could say this, choose your own adventure book.
Mm-hmm.
The concept is here, we do this practice assessment on them and we help them figure out what adventure they have to go on in Chiro Freedom School to meet their needs first. It's not cookie cutter, like just go to module 1, that's what we try to avoid. and still give like customized. It's okay, you need to start with teams because you obviously have a team problem. Then we have to create your communication, solve your communication problem, then systems, and then we can tackle finances. But then some people are like, I won't be able to survive one more month. My overhead is, so they have to start the financial route, right? Get Jen really becoming their chief financial officer, so to speak, so that they learn why they're doing what they're doing, why the practice is bleeding. And a lot of times, I hate to say it, is our payroll. They're not getting, these contracts that are being made just because they're sharing contracts and they don't even know their own profitability factors. So like this one's giving 30% of everything collected or 50% of everything because it works for them, but they don't know what their own profit margins are. And so they're doing cookie cutter contracts or what so-and-so did because they don't know their real numbers, right? So I kind of like, I hate to say it's the choose your own adventure. We choose the adventure for you. We map it out in kind of like a corrective action plan to do the healing and find the freedom. Because too many people my age are like, I'm 27 years in, 25. I'm working harder now than I ever did.
I believe it.
So we also want to teach people how to vest their employees. The loss of associates is hard because we're not taking care of them. We're not pouring into them. We're not mentoring, So docs think that they could go out on their own. And trust me, it's harder to do business today than it was even 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So the big key word here is mentorship. Is if you can't afford a coach, leech on to a lot of doctors to learn. I did. I wasn't annoying about it. I was hungry. There's a great book out there called You Can't Teach Hunger. It's like this big. It's tiny, but it's such a genius book. And it's true. You can't teach hunger. You either have it or you don't.
Well, let's close out and talk about Chiroflix because I know we're it's getting late for you and it's getting later for me too.
So Chiroflix is the brain daddy of Dr. Nancy Cooper and I, one of my co-founding, you know her well, of Women Chiropractors, but we're now neighbors down in Florida. We bought houses near each other. I told you Golden Girls era, but we work very well together. And one of the things that we were so compelled to create was accessibility to education. Not everybody could go to seminars. And these, like Parker, what it used to cost 15 years ago it's cheaper to go to Europe for me sometimes, right? You see and you can't even take your teams to it anymore. It's that expensive. So we decided to create, I was fascinated in Masterclass. Do you watch Masterclass?
Mm-mm.
Masterclass is an online visit, where you could learn the CEO of Waze, the CEO of Spanx. They talk about business and you learn business, you learn why people did it's really cool. I think it's like $55. I forget what you pay monthly, but it's online learning and they're like mini masterclasses. And you'll see them on Delta where you could see them, you learn about, I just watched the Bumble girl on Masterclass on how she started Bumble, right? And I was fascinated in that. I was getting it's kind of like podcasts. I get a lot of my learning from that or being inspired. And then you have Netflix and I'm like, okay, let's create a masterclass, Chiroflix for chiropractors 24/7. You can binge watch anything chiropractic. So it took us 2 years. We finally launched it this past fall because Netflix came after us for infringement of it looked too much. So they shut us kind of down. So we had to rebrand. But it looks fabulous now. Shout out to Tony because he built an amazing platform. It's a streaming platform. So I could put all your podcasts if I wanted on it. So people have one more platform. So we could talk after. You could do how to do your marketing stuff, right? And these are master classes that we're charging $199 a month for accessibility right now, because we want to teach and we want to get other people teaching. We want to get other people mentoring and empowering. So if anyone's listening and wants to teach hormones or neurology or marketing, reach out to me, because I want to put people, you might not be able to stand at Parker or stand at whatever conference like we do, but you could teach and inspire other chiropractors and mentor them with a 30-minute masterclass. Obviously, we have standards of how to record. Like we have a production team. And then fast forward to, we also have pay-per-view gym, like PPV, like Netflix does. And so we have created courses that right now we're in the process of working with PACE to have CE approval. So you could binge a few things and you're like, oh, I like what Jim's saying over here in this masterclass. Jim has a $97 masterclass that you could get a 1-hour CE for. Right? So our joke is, you could do it from the soccer field, watching your kids soccer. You could be getting learning. You could tell your staff that we're going to have lunch and we're going to learn about retention right now, and watch a class, a 30-minute, we're going to eat pizza at lunch and go back to work. So the idea is chiropractic live streaming 24/7 from wherever you are.
Super cool. Lots of takeaways. Great interview today. Thanks for, I can tell you listen to a lot of podcasts because your delivery is for the listener. And I think it's really cool. I think we learn through application, right? And after you consume a lot of information, and 8 years ago, podcast was new to most people when we started out.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if I could just gush for a second, we're out of 3,300,000 podcasts globally. Chiro Hustle is in the top 2.5% of podcasts, like on planet Earth. Like when you would have talked to me 8 years ago, if I thought that this was going to be where this little podcast is, I feel very, very generous with my time that we've helped put chiropractic on the map.
I love, and I'm so grateful that you have, because 8 years ago, I just thought, like, this is foreign to me, podcast.
Yeah. And to most people it was. And then the scamdemic popped and everybody wanted my job then. the whole world was starting podcasts because they had to abandon their old life, like how we opened up today's interview today. But
I want to end the interview with something you said and give kudos. You never wavered on your North Star.
Of course.
Even when it was tough. I guarantee you had some years that you're like, should I even be doing this?
I've never said this before on any show or any media in my life, but there's a handful of times where I was like, I'm going to quit chiropractic because they're not supporting me. And, tooth and nail, I've climbed with limited support. And out of the 1,400 people I've talked to, there's a lot of me, with not a lot of I support you and I love you. There's a lot of transactional relationship rather 100%. Than familial relationship. And, I'm on a trend right now that I'm going to go remarket to everybody I've ever interviewed, which is going to be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I've never told anybody this either, but I have 900 DCs in my personal cell phone, which, when people want to talk about building like the database, like the database is this thing. It's right here.
Yeah.
And
relationships.
There's 900 sticky relationships in there. Mm-hmm. By the way, I just got Lou Sportelli's number this morning, which is pretty cool. We're going to get Lou. We're going to get Lou on the podcast.
I've been 20 plus years, but yeah.
But when you think about like the involvement from 8 years ago to today, you listening to podcasts, you being a content creator, you developing social networks and things like that, kudos to you for seeing the vision, seeing the placement, keeping the people in your life that mattered, and learning how to build with them. Because there's a lot of people out there that they can puff their chest out, but at the end of the day, they go to bed and they're like, who are my friends? So
it's not about the fame.
No.
You and I don't care about that. It's about impact.
Inconsistency. And, Jay Kamarick. Do you know Jay? Jay's probably one of the other mentors that I've gotten a chance to like get to know over the past couple, 10 years or so. But he's a animal chiropractor. Mm-hmm. And his advice to me is just do the right thing.
Follow your North Star. I can't wait to read your book.
If anybody out there is listening and you want to find out how to adjust animals like nobody else, find Jay Kamarick and watch his movie Life Adjusted. He created this expose piece about equine chiropractic, and he followed the storyline of this abused horse, and he started adjusting the horse and brought it back. So, anyways, Jay's massive. I appreciate you making time for me today, Rose. I know that we've gone over my typical podcast timeline, but really, really great interview. Nice to connect with you. Your episode 768. Usually I ask everybody at this point, is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
No, we're good. I just want everybody to read your book. I'm planting the seed for you that he's writing a book.
Yeah, just got back the proof of chapter 17 today. So I'll be producing The Best Day of Your Life, a book that hopefully everybody can learn how to have the best day of their life every day. And
love it.
Love and appreciate you, Rose.
You made my day. You made my day.
And 768 Chiro Hustle Podcast. I close out like I always do. I tell everybody, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.